Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. It's the sublime September season and we're doing it from Milan. Of course, today I'm in my happy place because I'm surrounded by strong, intelligent, powerful women. Who wouldn't want to be here? So I'll start now by having them, as is tradition with Show Studio, introducing themselves. We'll start with Mira.
Hi, my name is Mira Maktabi. I'm a CSM MA graduate and I recently launched my brand in London.
Hi, my name is Cynthia John. I'm a costume designer and fashion stylist.
Hi, my name is Charisse Kenion. I'm a journalist and host of the Charisse Report, which basically goes behind the scenes of everything fashion, beauty and entertainment.
Hi. Sorry. I am no one. No. I am Nange Magro, and I'm the founder and designer of the Lotus Couture, which is a brand specialized in technology and fashion and latex and some fabric as well now.
Right, we're going to start off and doing it in alphabetical order. So we will start with what can only be described as the hottest show in Milan, Bottega Veneta. Who is going to start us off? Cynthia, because you want to write a thesis on this.
No, I don't. Well, I do actually. I could literally have watched this show all day, every day. It's so beautiful. I just think it's simple, but the detail which this show contains is incredible. And you can really see that there's an ethos behind it as well. You can see the woman who'd wear it, and it doesn't feel at any point as if it's just thrown together or just ideas slashed together. It really felt cohesive. The silhouettes were beautiful. The fabrics were absolutely exquisite and beautiful. And I love the reference points to American Gigolo, and I love every single thing about it. And also the way in which the actual accessories really tie into the actual pieces as well. So that's why I love it so much.
Now, one of the questions I want to ask, and I'm so glad we've got Nange here, because Italy is it's the only country that's quite specific as to its regions and the aesthetic of each region. So Bottega Veneta started in Venice. Where did Bottega start? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's Veneto.
Venice, precisely.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between the style of Venice, Florence, Rome, and can you give us a quick rundown on what are the characteristics you look for?
I think, a good starting point as well is to see what is Italian generally.
Yeah.
That I think is what makes it common to everyone, is obviously this artisanal perspective, the love for history, for your own heritage. And because back then Italy was all divided historically, there were basically different mini countries. That's why even the language is different in each region, you know, right. Because each region was their own language, their own food, their own dialect, that sometimes even me, I was born and raised in Milan, I might not understand someone speaking Venetian, you know.
Oh, wow.
That's how strong the identities are. And this definitely reflects in all the brands and all the identity of each designer coming from different places.
Yes.
And obviously sometimes you also have merging and appreciation between, you know, Milan and Rome and different things. And I feel like precisely with Bottega Veneta, definitely one of the most beautiful perspective about it is the artisanal part, you know. Yes. If you go to Venice, which is one of my favorite cities in the world, you know, and obviously, you know, everyone loves it, everybody biased. Italy is the best. Well, Japan is good too.
Absolutely, yes.
But it's this appreciation for human, form or creating. That's why, you know, it's one of the best brands in the world about manufacturing. Yeah. You know, there is plenty of people trying to dissect, the quality and understanding, and Bottega Veneta is definitely one of the leaders in the world. And it's a good topic to talk about, especially right now, because there is so much talk about fast fashion and what is produced in China, what actually is produced in Italy. And the thing is that if you're not in Italy in certain parts, you don't understand a real craftsmanship exists still, you know. Yeah. It's still there. You have factories, you have families that have been for decades and decades creating these brands and making for these brands, which is the other side. You see the brand, but the amount of people and family with passions that for decades they create pieces with the designers for this it's outstanding, you know.
All right, so now one of the things that's been quite topical is women's wear designers. Louise Trotter, who of course I noticed when she revamped Lacoste, then she moved on to Carver and now at Bottega Veneta. As a women's wear designer as well, or a designer who is a woman, Mira, what did you think of her first outing?
I thought it was incredible, and I thought that she struck such a strong balance between craft and capturing that attitude, that ease. It was powerful, it was confident. You have those fiberglass skirts matched with a really simple, boxy, structured top. And for me, elegance is ease. It's something that you can really imagine in your wardrobe, and it's so desirable. And I think what's really strong in it is detail, craft, power, and really something that women can see themselves in and own, not just kind of a fleeting fantasy.
Yes. Charisse, what were your views? Can you identify certain pieces that stood out to you and why?
Oh, can I just segue into the music?
Yes, of course you may.
Because this show, I watched it, started crying, finished watching it, looked up the David Bowie version of Wild is the Wind, because I'd always known Nina Simone's version, and went in the kitchen, listened to it, cried again. But then I went back to the show, and even seeing it now, the more I see it, the more beautiful it becomes. I like what Mira said, it's like you can see it. It's not the fantasy, it's the beauty that everyone can take a piece of this, whether it's the colors. I feel like there's all these little elements of fun, and fun is part of feeling elegant, and also comfort is a huge part of it. I feel like more and more, because we've talked about comfort in the past of switching to athleisure.
Yes.
You know, people were just getting sick of that. To me, this is the new comfort. It's like you feel like you look good, but you feel good doing it as well.
Yes, yes. Now, one of the things I wanted to pick up on, something that you said, Cynthia, because so many people thought the clothes were too gargantuan, but in my mind, I would think that it would resolve so many styling issues. What were your views on the way women dress today, and how does this relate to that?
Well, I just think, if you think about since, lockdown, which feels like centuries ago, we're more about comfort. I think before pre-lockdown, we were wearing, things which constrained us. And I think also what I loved about this collection, it felt warm. It felt as though you're being cocooned in these fabrics and the clothes and in the shoulders, etc. So I love the silhouette, to be honest with you. To me, it doesn't feel gargantuan, and also you can see it's well tailored. There's a very big, huge difference between clothes which are gargantuan and which envelop you, which don't offer you any structure. These pieces to me felt very well tailored and structured with the use of the fabrics, but also just the tailoring and, as everyone said, the craftsmanship.
Yes, yes. Mira, what about you?
I feel like...
Texture. Talk to me about texture and the use of texture.
I mean, she had one piece that was the intrecciato leather with feathers coming out of it, and it was just incredible because, again, the textures were embedded in each look kind of so naturally and so wearable and desirable, which I think is really difficult to nail. And then a second thing that I really loved when it comes to the oversized and the cocooning is, although the shoulder was kind of going back to, like you said, the American Gigolo tailoring, it still feels very modern and not nostalgic or retro. So it's such a fine balance of oversized and structured and just tailored and fused enough to not be too sloppy or too slouchy, but not too boxy and not natural moving, I would say.
Charisse, you want to talk to us about the colorway she's selected?
Oh, just, I don't even know how I'd describe that shade. Is it like a mauve with the red, pinkish red bag? I just love, I feel like they're colours that we don't always see. And that's one thing I noticed about Milan in general. So much colour. I think because of London, London is London, but I kind of forgot how many colours there are out there.
Yes.
Obviously we've got the Bottega green, but I feel everything works so well together. And it's styled immaculately, but I can totally see us taking a bit of this, mixing it with that, and switching things up. So I feel anyone that buys into this collection, they can have such a great time morphing it into their own wardrobe, or if they want to buy loads from this, they can get so many looks. So
Yeah,
I
think that's one of the things people who aren't sort of immersed in fashion in the way in which we do. People seem to think that when a new collection comes out, it means you throw out your old clothes. But no one in their right mind does that.
Well, they shouldn't do.
You buy clothes that are able to integrate into your wardrobe. And as we've said, this has done this remarkably, because you will wear a new piece, whether it's a coat, a trouser, or even a tie, with some clothes that you've got. Nange, tell me about this, the Venetian style of Bottega Veneta. And is it easy for a designer just to come in and slip in and to tap into that aesthetic?
I think it's challenging in every situation, like a situation like that, because, you know, as we had a little talk before, is you need to understand the cultural part of it, and each designer, and as we said, you know, is different everywhere. So, you know, I think it's good if you're a designer and you come in Amazon or in a different house, you really understand what is the brand, where it comes from, and why. And, you know, specifically with Bottega Veneta, for example, you can't avoid, you know, the intricate design of leather, intrecciato. Bravo, look at that. Am I in Italy?
You flatter me. Go ahead. Yeah.
And it's something that you can't avoid. If you go in any fashion house, or I guess in any job, and you don't do your research and you're not passionate about it, you're losing the soul of what made the brand. You know,
yes.
And, you know, the materials and, you know, the leathers, and obviously intertwining with the bags is something that for other brands might not be as important, but for something like Bottega Veneta is definitely a must.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I think we could all agree that we did agree upon is that there are a lot of menswear fits this season, lots of trousers. Could anybody want to talk about that and why we think that maybe as a designer? Mira, tell me why you would... there were the preponderance of trousers and menswear suiting. What's the logic behind that for you if you were to do it?
I think it's just such a staple and such a core to everyone's wardrobe. Like, everyone wants the perfectly cut trouser and the jacket, and it's kind of more fluid now, so it's not really just masculine, I would say.
Yes, no, exactly. It's the whole notion of strength, power, ease of movement. This is something that, as we were saying, that's come about since the pandemic. Cynthia, tell me, which was your favorite piece from the collection?
Oh, everything. There's no point even me. We'll be here all day. Everything. But you know, I do love the fact it's not just this. I mean, it's beautifully styled, absolutely exquisitely styled, but it's not an exercise in styling, which you do find with some shows. Yeah. Every single piece feels like it could stand up by itself. It doesn't need, you know, loads of accessories. Yes. That's what I love about it.
Yes. All right. So we've all given Bottega Veneta, Louise Trotter, a thumbs up from us here.
All my money.
All your money.
Take my money.
Take your money.
Take my money and run.
All right, moving on again. And what's fascinating again, I think, for us this panel, it's another group of women, the Fendi sisters. Lagerfeld, of course, started working with them in 1965. He maintained them. He got along brilliantly with all the sisters. They did a good job. There was a bit of a moment when there was a designer who came in and lasted probably 2 or 3 seasons, but he didn't quite work out with the Fendi sisters. Now, the Fendi sisters are...
From Milan.
Milano. And tell us, because what I think is absolutely remarkable about them, which we will come on to another designer after that, is these sisters get along as a family and a business. Can you speak on that?
I think it's very much... a characteristic of Italians, you know, and the cultural part of it that I also try to explore between, you know, partners or like friends, is that you have this love-hate relationship with everyone.
Yes, exactly. It's only Yeah.
You really need to be direct, and sometimes you have to tell them to fuck off, and you still love them. You know?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think it's, you know, and I speak with, this is definitely my people now. You know.
What do you think typifies the classic Fendi woman? For me, it's always rich lady wear, who's an artist. She's very cultured. Strong. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's as a Milanese brand, you know, like you kind of are surrounded by that. You know, like if you grow up in Milan, you go in the streets and you have things like it's called the shura, which is, you know, like my grandma was a shura, like for sure. And I didn't realize, because shura means lady in Milanese, you know, and you're surrounded by this type of women all the time. And I remember once I started to travel more and, like, you know, being accustomed to other realities, that it wasn't a given to be like that, you know. And I realized, actually people, you know, dress in a different way than Milan, you know. Like people are more comfortable somewhere else. But the idea is always to have this, everything is elegant, I would say, immaculate, the hair in a certain way, because even culturally, you know, people might feel, if you are in Milan or if you are with people that love you, they are telling you, they scan you before you go out, and like, what are you doing? What are you wearing? Why is this a hole? Why there is a stain, you know? But it's an act of love. It's not a bully or criticism, and so I think in other cultures maybe it comes across in a different way, you know?
I do that.
Shady.
I do that to my friends all the time.
It's like backing you up, you know, like are you the perfect self, but also because it's seen almost as an act of disrespect towards others that look at you, right? It's like you didn't want to put any effort in this, you know, and obviously there are other talks about intertwining with, you know, misogynistic attitudes towards it, but if we take it only on that side and the beauty of it, and what I can think about my grandmother, you know, like she always had Fendi pieces in her, you know, and Versace, and if you're in Milan and you are more accustomed to it, it becomes like sort of normal, you know, like, and I think it's one of those brands that where the femininity doesn't have to give up with the strength of masculinity, and I think it's something that, you know, Italians do often and well, you know.
Charisse, you're a kind of a ladylike dresser, if I may be so modest to say. What did you think of Fendi? Have you been always a fan of Fendi, or do you not like Fendi?
I think I've always been a fan in the sense that it definitely meant elegance, and it definitely talked to me about Milan. It's like, I feel like with Milan, even street style is so different to anywhere else you go. There's just like this assuredness. So I've always liked that about the brand. And when I watched this, I have to say I was obsessed with the set, first of all, because it was like a video game.
Mark Newson,
it was inspired by a quilt, but to me it was very much like Tetris, and we saw all these colorful looks coming out. And I was just like, it's so confident. That's where the beauty is, I think. It's these bright colors, there's no shirking.
Cynthia, do you think you can see the difference between a menswear designer and a women's wear designer?
What in general, or just
in general, and then because for Fendi, Carl was a bit of a chameleon, right? So that nobody will come as close to his legacy after now that he's gone. But do you think there's a difference, or where do you see the difference? You define my question.
For me, when I look at this show, what I love about it is the colours and the textures and the patterns. I'm not going to lie, I don't particularly like the designs. For me, it's not particularly strong on design, but where it's very, very strong, I think, is on the textures, patterns, details, colours, and that's what I love about it. I look at clothes like this, it's just me, maybe it's just me, and I get nothing. Sorry, I'm just saying they give me nothing. But what it gives me is I love the details and textures. And if I was a photographer, I would love to shoot this because there's so much you could do with the lighting and texture. But as far as actual design, design. I don't understand it. Just being honest, but I don't understand it.
That's fine. That's why you're here. Mira, what's your view on Fendi and their design aesthetic?
I think this collection for me reminds me again of that comfort and elegance. And for me, I feel like it strikes a balance between that kind of traditional, a bit conservative but not too much, and really balancing.
Bourgeois.
Yeah, like it really beautifully balances the elegance with comfort, and again going away from something really restrictive. So it feels easy, it feels elevated, it feels luxurious, even though I'm not one to go towards something with a lot of pattern or color. I can recognize how it really fits in a wardrobe of different women and different ages, which I think.
Now, one of the things we have to know, that's like doesn't need to be said, Milan and accessories. So, Cynthia, do you feel the clothes play a secondary part to the accessory? Because Fendi, of course, their baguette and all their peekaboo bags, their accessory game is so strong.
It is, yeah.
Do you think that's the reason why the clothes don't hit the way they do?
Well, so for instance, this look here, is that Karen Elson, I think?
Yeah, Karen Elson, yeah.
I instantly went straight to the bag, not because it's a bright colour, but because there's something about the way it just the fabric, the leather's draping. So I just find the accessories way more interesting than the actual clothes.
Yeah.
So for me, as a an accessories brand, love. But in terms of the design and clothing, it's not doing it for me.
Nange, what say you on the accessories as opposed to the clothes? Do you think the clothes are an add-on, or do they play a central part? Are they coming into their own?
I think that's like with the mistake maybe of being redundant, but it's really cultural too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, everyone in my Italian side of the family, it's a thing, like you have your bag, like you have many bags, you have many shoes, you have many belts, like the earrings, everything is such an intertwining part of the whole outfit that it's a thing. It's a complementary, sometimes the subject one or another, but at the same time is really its own thing, So like in my family, like every time I go to Italy, like the first thing you see my aunt, she has a different bag every day.
Yeah.
And they are not bags that you don't look at, they are literally the piece, or like my other aunt, she always has the high heels like this every day, and you're like, wow, is this sandals? It's a thing. So I don't think, I understand in other perspectives and in other,
countries.
in other fashion houses, it becomes or an add-on or something different, or you specialize more in another, but I feel like, especially Milan, is integrated. Can you say that? Integrated
Of course, you can. Now, one of the things you were talking about, and Charisse, I'll come to you with this, because Fendi has never shied away from using fur. And as you're saying, that's the type of woman in Milan. You see them in the winter, no snow, but...
And I thought it was normal. And then...
It's not.
I know, exactly. And when I grew up, I realized, obviously there is a whole, part of it, and I understand, like I'm a big animalist?
Right, yes. Animal rights.
Animal woman.
Yes.
And I understand, but I also understand the cultural aspect of it, and the way I grew up, it was normal. My family gave me the big fur coat when I had a certain age, because it's a thing, that you keep forever. It's your family. So, and also you have the perspectives, like one piece of fur that you keep forever, or is something fake fur that you have to change every year. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's the whole thing. But like my grandmother always have the Fendi belt, the Versace thing, and I realize now how much of a stereotype it is. And I was like, isn't that normal?
Yeah, that's right. Charisse, what were your views on this? I mean, because they've got lots of... they've balanced off a heavy top with a light skirt. Can you tell me which stood out to you in the Fendi collection?
I wouldn't say it was these pieces, to be honest.
Okay.
There was one thing that stood out, but it wasn't for a great reason. There was a lot of drawstrings that I noticed at the bottom of coats, and I thought, why?
Again, because as Cynthia sort of said, it's that notion of cocooning. And it's like Balenciaga was the first person to have done that cocooning coats that has been popularized. And I think we're seeing that because the political instability of the world right now, we are all exasperated by it all. And designers are responding to that in their own subtle ways. Okay, so Fendi was a hit and miss, we understand. Thanks to Nange for explaining the cultural aspects of the of Luna Shintura. Now we're going to go on to Gucci. Now, of course, Gucci has been in the news for various reasons. Gucci family is like an opera. And I think we could all say it's got the highs, the lows, the dramas. Demna Gvasalia, Demna has come in, and Demna has been and is a good designer, because one of the things that we have to talk about and mention is the difference between a creative director and a designer. So do we consider Demna a creative director or a designer?
I love that you're looking at me. Mira, you go first.
I would say definitely more creative director, because it's more about subverting rather than designing or product development, I would say, because design, I feel, is so intertwined with the fabric, and I feel like especially with this we see a story, a character, rather than any innovation from look to look.
Yes. Cynthia, what's your view on it? Because of course we'll come back to Nange as well. So the thing, he identified those stereotypes. And again, because he's a good creative director, he is zeroed in on his way of transforming the brand. He's not throwing out everything, including the baby. He's kept and integrating and doing a slow burn. Cynthia, what was your view on Gucci? You're wearing the glasses.
That's because I need to see. That's the only reason I'm wearing these. But I do like. Do you know, I love this, and this is where it really appealed to my background or current employment as a costume designer, because when I looked at this, I literally felt as though I was looking at a mood board for a film. And that's even before I realised it was actually a film.
Yeah.
So in that way, and I just think what I felt about Gucci in past seasons is it's felt very costume, very, very costume. So in some ways, he's almost looked at it, I think, and thought, actually, do you know what? Let's just play on that, and let's just call it what it is. Actually, it's very theatrical and very costume based, and I actually think that's very, 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 very clever.
Yes. Nange, your view on Gucci?
Well,
she's ready to go. When I saw the film, I absolutely loved the film, because we have been talking about narrative in fashion. I remember as a stylist working with Simon Foxton and Edward, Edward particularly always likes a narrative.
Absolutely.
What's going on in the day of the life of this person. And finally, we have designers. The democratization of fashion, you need to appeal to people, because we don't know how certain things would appeal to people. Nange, your view on...
it's a very interesting example right now. And I was talking with, I also have another business, which is the Lotus Studios.
Yes.
And we do more media, and narrative, and how much is important to have characters, right? And I was showing Mark Maxwell, hi Mark, we were watching this and we were thinking, like, this is finally something that has been missing for so long, to actually feel the characters, to feel a narrative, because what is life or designing without a meaning is nothing. Like, you're putting a shape, okay, bravo, and what else? You need to have a story, you need to care, you need to feel represented in some way, or understanding something different, And I love the fact that he went with, instead of a normal catwalk, he went on a narrative. Especially in this time of history, I think is beautiful, but it's also the fact that, is different from being a designer. If you are a creative director, you might be able to concentrate more on these things. But I think it's good if you are a designer, if you're a creative, to be able to learn every language of all these things together and be able
language,
to...
there's that, that's the thing, to understand the language is the medium,
Definitely.
Now, one of the things as well, we have to shout out Alexis Bittar. Alexis Bittar went viral with Magro, the New York terrorist, and everybody in fashion, or everybody who I know who aren't into fashion, have all spoken about Magro, the New York terrorist. Charisse, tell us, what did you think of Gucci's The Tiger?
So, as someone that's never been one of those ones that's the Demna stan, I'll be honest, this is how he got me, because I am obsessed with film. And when I learned that he'd made a 30-minute film with Spike Jonze and Helen Reed, I was like, okay, I'm going to sit and watch this. And the storytelling told me what he's thinking about the world. The world is kind of crazy. You know, Barbara Gucci, not only is she the head of Gucci, she owns California, which I could see happening. So I was like, I like you. You've got a sense of humor, and what you've shown me so far has intrigued me enough because I am a Gucci fan. So I'm ready, but I also, Demna being Demna, I wouldn't be surprised if this is him saying, yeah, I'm going into the archives, guys, and then doing a complete 360 on us and coming out with something completely different.
But then isn't that the role of a designer? Because I keep thinking, people keep saying, as we'll come on to that as well, oh, but it's not like that. Do we want a rehash of the same thing?
I think that if this had been a catwalk show, it wouldn't have had the same impact. He needed to do this. And that's why I think an incredible creative director comes in. He realised, actually, what am I doing? What am I just rehashing what's already been? That's already been done for the last few seasons. Am I just doing expensive vintage, which, no, it's not. So he realised he needed to, as you said, he needed a story. And I think people actually, particularly in this day and age, respond more to a story and soul than they do just the clothes walking down the catwalk.
Can I just add
Of course you may.
No, it's just because it's really relevant to what you're saying, it's important definitely to have creative directors that we see a lot, but I feel like it's also important to understand the craft together.
Yes.
And I'm not saying this is the example, but and the culture, like we said. When he did each character, I truly was surprised, and I felt kind of seen, because when he did every person stereotypical, which is not stereotypical, they're all true.
There are truisms always in all stereotypes.
That's what we were saying before, right? Like when you come in a house, you understand what it is. And that's why it became powerful and resonant even with people that are Milanese, even with people that are in the fashion, because they are like, wait, you are doing this, you see how it is, and he can do that because he's also outside of it. So he's a spectator of the climate. But it's also good to address, I think, as myself being a creative director, but also making the clothing manually as well, it's important also to know how to make clothing, I think.
Mira, tell me, what did you like about Gucci? Did you like anything, or did anything stand out for you in not a good way, or did you just like everything?
I think definitely it was more about the storytelling, the humor, and the commentary rather than the clothes. And I think it was a smart way to kind of go back to what Gucci is, go back to those stereotypes, and use it as a blank canvas, kind of like this is the core, and then I think it would be really interesting to see what
seasons develop.
I do think it's a slow burn.
Yes, a slow burn. Charisse, you, what was your favorite item? Because what was also clever, it's like this rich woman, and these are the pieces she's created. And it's like you get the sense she also created the models from AI, right? The way they're displayed standing up there, they all have that sort of finish of not being quite real. What were your impressions on that?
Well, you did call me a lady earlier, so I loved all of it. I'm not a fan of the Kendall Jenner, because I think that could be done anywhere, but the embroidered piece that she wears later, the black dress with all the embroidery on it, Demi's character, Barbara. I also loved Keke Palmer's beautiful pink dress. It's just fantasy.
Yes.
Really beautiful. So I personally couldn't fault the clothes apart from that silver sequin.
Exactly. All right, so that was Gucci and the Tiger. We look forward to seeing what Demna does for us next. And now we move on to Jil Sander. Simone Bellotti got in there and she reset, in my opinion, what Jil Sander was, even during the time of Raf Simons. Jil Sander, I loved that minimalism. I loved the strictness of it. Jil Sander, I think we can all safely say Margaret Howell is our version of Jil Sander, where the clothes are specific, it never changed, but everything is beautifully done. Mira, I always think of you when I think of Jil Sander.
I mean, for me, original Jil Sander is such an inspiration. And in this collection, for me personally, there's something missing. Because Jil said that she doesn't want to group herself in minimalism, but it's purity.
Yes.
So it's purity in the fabrics and the cut. And for me, when I look at old Jil Sander references, it's so clean, but it's also, there's an element of vulnerability and sensuality, and that for me is missing in this collection.
Is that because she's a woman and Simone Bellotti?
I mean, it could be. I don't want to make that generalization, but I don't think this has a male gaze, apart from a few looks with the cutouts and the glittery bras that were a bit of a question mark for me. I don't think necessarily, but I do think maybe because she's a woman, she can understand that nuance a bit more, where subtle sexiness doesn't have to come from skin, it comes from the way she pattern cuts the pieces.
Yes.
And there's some tailoring pieces here where I felt the collar was a bit shy, a bit sterile, but I did love the pleated silk, like the pleated silk pink dress, the pleated silk skirt. I think that was a really strong element for me.
Cynthia, have you been a Jil Sander stan?
Oh, forever.
Yes.
Always, absolutely. Because I love simple lines and details. And it takes a lot, actually, to create or to actually design simple collections, because you really have to focus on, as you said, the craft and the tailoring and the details. So I've always loved Jil Sanders. I love some of the looks in this show, but some of them I just felt they were slightly derivative of other designers or shows I've seen in the past. I love some of the colours. So when I'm even looking at it now, I'm finding myself not looking at the clothing, I'm looking at the colours. Therefore, I'm looking at the styling. Is that a good thing?
Well, different designers create it because the world is so filled with different types of people, and I think that's why we need as many options as possible. Charisse, what say you on Jil Sander?
I think
Simone Bellotti, Jil Sander.
I think it could have been edited down a little. I think there's over 60 looks perhaps, and maybe it could have come in around 40 something. Yeah, because I love seeing Guinevere Van Seenus as the first model, because she is the Jil Sander woman.
Girl, yeah.
But then I started to feel like, not glazing over, but I feel like I've seen this already. Yeah. I feel like if they'd edited it down, I would have had a more immediate answer if you said, what was your favourite look?
Yes.
Because now as I look back at it, I do like the sheer dresses.
Yeah.
To me, they're very 90s, the overlay.
Everything felt very Helmut Lang coded,
Yes.
I sort of thought. Everything, particularly those sheer dresses. Guinevere Van Seenus is the girl in look number 1. Well, not these so much, but the silk pleated dresses that were in the pink and the blues, those were very Helmut Lang coded, yes. These 3 are incredibly Helmut Lang coded. Nange, what say you on Jil Sander?
Yeah, I mean, I think, just say, what Cynthia said is always quite difficult to do something simple. And I mean, as a designer personally, I tend to try to find a mix, or what I can appreciate a lot is the use of colors. Like this is one of my designs, and you can see, I love the one popping up color, right? Yeah. And you can see it in a lot of pieces, like obviously the royal blue, obviously the red socks, obviously that is that thing that gives the accent, right? But it's also difficult, I think, to convey a sense of innovation when things are very simple.
Yeah.
Visually, obviously, I'm sure the fabrics are outstanding.
Exquisite.
But it's difficult to perceive it when you see it from far away or you're online.
Yes.
It's something that you can't do.
Yeah.
So I feel maybe it's a personal choice in the sense each creative has their own vision, and I
love the shrunken sweaters as well. Those things are very product coded, because she does things. And I mean, so do we think Simone Bellotti is an intellectual designer then?
I think there's a story missing. That's for me what's missing. I don't know who this is for. And I think that's why it's not resonating with me. I don't know who it's for. Whereas at least with the Gucci and other designers we've seen today, you know who Louise Trotter is. You know who it's for. I mean, exactly. Or you know who she's been looking at. She's been cycling through Paris or wherever. I don't know that. And sometimes you have to give people a chance. That's why I don't like saying, like, damning things straight away. That happens too often in fashion, where somebody does one collection, like, that's no good. Give people a chance, for God's sake.
Exactly.
Give them a chance to percolate and to just, to hone their ideas. So I'm not saying I think this is necessarily bad, but I just think you need more time to find out who this is for. Yeah. What's your story? What's he like?
Yeah,
what's he like?
As a person.
Yeah, that's what's missing. What do you like?
Do you think he is beholden to the legacy of Jil Sander? Because Luke and Lucy Mayer, they were selling bucket loads. It wasn't to my taste.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
I liked it.
I didn't like it. I prefer this. I kind of think I'm a clean, sterile kind of guy.
Do you know what it is? With Helmut Lang, it was, or even Ander Mullermeister, it was very clean, okay, but you knew damn well who was going to be buying that.
Absolutely.
You knew who was buying that. It was usually me.
Yes.
But you knew who would be buying it.
Mira, go on.
I feel like it's trying to fit in the box or the definition of minimalism.
Yeah.
And I think it's trying to respect Jill's legacy, which is really commendable. But I do think we'd love to see more of who this person is, like you said, who this person is walking down the street and who he as a designer is.
Yes. Charisse?
I really agree, because I think looking back, my favorite looks are the ones, to me, if Jill was always minimalism, there's kind of like a nerd amongst some of these characters.
Yes.
And I think if he is able to lean into more him next time around, and I'm all for a nerd, I'm all for austere and strict as well. So I think the next collection, I'll really be looking forward to seeing it, because there's a lot of good here. I just think there's a bit too much.
Too much. It needed to be edited down. Now, one of the things I'm sure we all noticed, the vibrancy of the color palette this season in those blues, this purple. I mean, for me, I thought Simone Bellotti was quite gestural. Right? Everything was a gesture, like this origami seam down the front, the collars that he had on the shirts that were turned up. Talk to me about color.
Well, as I said, I personally appreciate the playing a lot with color, and especially, like my early years when I was young, I developed and I worked a lot as a graphic designer, and it's definitely one of those things, that you really need to click with the color, and it's a language as well. Every color symbolizes something, and it makes a collection cohesive.
Yes.
Right? But it's the thing I definitely appreciate the most about this collection. The thing is that, like what you were saying, I agree that there is a difference between minimalism, or simplicity as well. And that's, I guess, where my Japanese side comes more in, where I love minimalism, Japan. And as you mentioned as well, origami, obviously there is with pattern making, there is always something intertwined with that. And I feel like it could be explored more. You can have something still simple, but very strong too. Like even this coat is simple, but it is stronger than just a plain,
coat,
exactly. And the popping of color, it really works very well,
I mean, and so many sleeves are being curved now, because as we were talking, I mean, In Louis Trotter, we saw big oversized, and Simone Bellotti, he's shrunken the shoulders, and there's a lovely curve. Again, coming back to that notion of cocooning, because there's these subtle subliminal things that are happening to us to calm us during these times. So that's Simone Bellotti. At Jil Sander, we wish him good luck because we thought it was very good. And we are moving on to the show of shows that created so much fuss, sturm, and dang on the internet, Versace. Dario Vitale. Mr. Vitale. Now, in the past, I've said that you've got to be incredibly careful the way you start a collection. The moment I saw the first look in this collection, I thought, what is he doing? Right? Immediately, however, by the second look, I've said it before, it's John Hughes Breakfast Club, all those American teen things. And I love the collection. Mira, what were your views on Mr. Vitale?
I think first, it was really great that he went into a lot of references. There was a lot of great leather pieces. I would say from a styling point of view, it was a bit too much at first.
Yes.
But I think the more you look at it and the more you dissect like accessories, certain jackets, certain shapes, it starts to take form. And I think it kind of resembles a sketchbook, like the beginning of an idea.
Oh, wow.
And then I feel like maybe we can edit it down as the collections move on.
Yes. Now, one of the things Mr. Vitale has said, Donatella and Gianni, R.I.P., designed for the gods, and he now intends to design for the people, us mere mortals. Cynthia, did you get that feeling?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Even if I hadn't read that or heard that, I would. That's what I would think, because it feels very. To me, I feel like I'm looking at like slightly 1980s street style. That's what I'm looking at. So he's obviously harked back to those moments. It's definitely for the people.
Yeah.
You know, it's very
One
basic.
of the references I kind of think, I wonder if he notices in Charlie Bruckner's Black Mirror series, Saint Junipero. Everybody
I was in it.
It's something that's resonated with so many people, and particularly us as style fiends. That San Junipero series episode, you brought it back in the later one. This is what the feeling that I got, because again, these clothes are made to be consumed on a small screen. As we were talking, that you flick and you see and you buy. Yes.
Yeah, Nangelina.
Nangelina, sorry, I'm fumbling here for your name. Yes.
The nickname for
Go ahead, yes. So tell us, what did your people... Growing up in Italy in the 80s, you were probably just a child, but does this sort of feel... because it looks like it's something for kids who will be in coastal towns. There have been so many TV shows set on coastal towns in Italy. What were your views on this?
I mean, I was a bit later than that, but I'm very familiar with obviously, you know, Versace, and it's from Rome. So there is a difference as well. Like, as you can see, all the differences between Milanese is more kind of not corporate, but it's more serious in certain tones, you know, like more elegant in different ways. And obviously Gianni Versace, you know, was one of the favorite designers of my grandma, so I grew up seeing all the stuff of Gianni Versace, which is hilariously much more cheap, you know, when you grow up there and you find places, like there's so much stuff, right? And so I'm very familiar with the brand from when I was little, and I can see the vision, and I think what's important to point is what you were mentioning earlier, that you need to have designers that also kind of refresh the thing. And, you know, with Gianni, I think his legacy, it was about colors and punchiness, and you know, he loved obviously the Greek history. That was a big part of it, therefore the Medusa, right? And you have all this kind of layering and blocking of colors that you will never match, right? And I feel that before there was in his realm was simplicity, and then Donatella came in and he became more goddess-like, even more, right?
Yes.
And I feel like this is a new era for it. And if I have to speak personally, there are certain things I wouldn't really match color-wise, and what I can see that was very strong in the original Versace was more you can match these weird colors together, and somehow it's still
works.
it's balanced, and you don't know how, right? And sometimes I feel like here there is a certain clash, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying like it's a new direction, and as you pointed out very well, I think it's more for the people.
Yes,
it's a new era.
Absolutely. Charisse, what for you stood out with Dario Vitale's debut?
I felt like he was like, this is what I'm doing. It was felt very confident. Whether you like it or not, I mean, that first look.
Go ahead.
That first look, I saw some people, I think someone had shared it on Instagram, and the first look was described as, it's giving Saved by the Bell. And I was just like, I understand, but don't write it off, because the instant writing off, I couldn't cope with. I was like, there's so many elements that are so journey, like those jeans with the face print. Also, I couldn't help but notice the shoes. I haven't seen that heel height in a really long time.
Yes.
I think it's going to bring back a really wearable heel for a lot of women.
Our feet are all too wide to wear shoes. Come on.
They got to make them
We've been wearing
UK
trainers.
sizes.
We've wearing too many trainers.
Yes.
But I just felt like it was him saying, yeah, I'm here. I'm not pussyfooting around it. This is what I'm doing. And again, I think maybe a little bit of editing, because some of the looks are a bit like, I love the Miami Vice look, but then perhaps the first look for me was a little bit what's
too
going on.
dodgy.
But yeah, there's a lot of potential there.
Now, one of the things I've been noticing with Versace, which has never been the case before, is the rise of the accessories, that accessible price point. Mira, what's your view on Versace's accessories?
I mean, it's definitely clear that they try to integrate accessories throughout this collection, and I think also commercially that's a smart move at this point. As the style kind of evolves and the identity starts to like edit itself down, there's a lot of, I mean, I really love the black shoes. There was a black shoe with like kind of a molded texture that was really nice.
Cynthia?
It's funny, as I watched this show, I was literally writing a script for each of the looks, basically. To me, it just feels very cinematic. And certain of the looks reminded me of My Own Private Idaho.
Yes.
In fact, quite a few of the looks reminded me of that film, to be honest with you.
Yes.
So I think it's a very commercial, sellable collection. It'll probably sell really well. There's several fashion editors I can almost see in some of these looks But again, I don't know who said it, don't write it off. It's too easy to write things off just like that, and it's not fair, and it's not that intelligent to write things off straight away either, I don't think. So that's my take on that one.
What did we think about the Argyle print on these dresses? These dresses struck me as somewhat questionable, particularly the green one with the Argyle draping thing. How do we feel about that?
I know it's based on, I think it was like a one sleeve dress. There's a black one sleeve dress with the silver. I'm not averse to the dress, but the belt plus the bag and the shoes, it's almost like the belt's got that pirate kind of feel. So I'm just not sure. So this would have been one of the ones that I would change a little bit.
Change the styling. So do we think it's too much style over substance then?
There's a lot of styling. Ironically, that was my favourite look at passing.
Really?
It's going to throw you, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I do think some of the styling could have been taken back a little bit, because sometimes if you overstyle a show, you stop looking at the clothes because your eye doesn't know what it's looking at. You're like, oh my God. So I just think if you strip away some of the accessories, to be honest with you, and even just some of the hair could have been simpler, I think actually you'd really see the beauty in some of these pieces.
Mira, do you have a favourite piece from this collection?
I think it was look 32.
Look 32.
Leather skirt and leather
Jacket, that
I
one.
think that was a really good balance to me of accessories and hair and attitude, not too much.
Yes, and we can see women wearing that quite comfortably. Nange, what were your views? Did you see anything that stood out?
First of all, I love some of the choices about models that they make, what kind of models they used.
Yes.
And I love, it's funny that you mentioned Miami, because at the end of his life, you know, Gianni Versace was very passionate about America.
Yes.
And I feel like it's good to, if you want to do a step forward in a slightly different direction, kind of exploring that world that could have been, who would it be at this stage you know, and I feel like, you know, those looks where the shirts are like this and with the printed trousers, those are definitely like the ones that I prefer the most. It's not my genre of, you know, mixing things together like this, but I appreciate especially the
But do you think that's a marketing thing where you pump
I agree,
product? That's what we were getting here, pumping of product, so that, because, you know, we all know it's difficult times, and once these items are stripped away, I remember someone was always saying that John Galliano, he did that, and when you go into the showroom and you strip everything back, you can, like, each look, you can create 6 different outfits, so it's easy to market. Can we agree? Yeah?
Yes. Sure.
All right, so that I kind of think that's it. I want to end on something here that, because we were all talking about it coming in, what should we say about politics and the effects on the world affairs on fashion. It's something I read Jim Jarmusch said in an interview. He quoted Jenny Beth from The Savages saying, "Art doesn't have to talk about politics to be political or to change the world. Artists, fashion as well, it's here to open us. It's to make us feel more connected and to be a lot more empathetic with each other." So on that note, I will say thank you all for watching. Did we have any questions today? Yes, we've got a question today. Sorry, I was rushing you. Yeah, thanks for the questions. So people, sit down, prick up your ears, and let's get that question, Max.
You have mentioned American Gigolo, John Hughes, and My Own Private Idaho. So do you think you've seen an increase in American influence on Milan, or has it always been there, or is it increasing?
Oh, that was me mentioning that.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, absolutely. I can, because I'm a bit of an old bird, so when I'm looking at a lot of these collections, I can really see the influences in just the silhouettes and just even the way some of the styling's working, actually. So there's definitely, you know, those films or those periods have definitely influenced some of these shows, I think.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because it's like we cycle through different periods in fashion, and we're having another 80s revival. Charisse, you wanted to say?
I wanted to add to that because, yes, Milan, we're seeing the influence of American style, American Gigolo, but let's remember that American Gigolo is the film it is because of Giorgio Armani, an absolutely huge Italian icon, dressing Richard Gere. That scene, I can see it in my head, dressing himself. So I feel like Italians had a huge effect on how Americans saw kind of like leisure wear.
Yes.
And that affected the suiting, and then, things just keep going around.
Cycling back, yeah? Anything you want to add to that, Nange?
I always want to add.
Yes, go on. Add.
Let other people talk.
No. You add. What did you want to say on the influence of American film on Italian fashion?
You know, like America has always been a big influence since the Second World War.
Right, yeah.
So you grow up in this idea, you know, of like America is the best country in the world.
Yes.
And then you move there. And then things change.
You realize it's not that hard. You move there, you come back. Come back. Okay, another question? Are there any more questions? That's it. Mira, did you want to add anything to that?
No, thank you so much.
Sorry, there's me pointing at you. You're like, I don't know what to do.
There is a question. No, there is. All right, so thank you. This has been the second in our Sublime September season. We've got Paris to go. I look forward to you joining us yet again. I'd like to thank my guests.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.
And tune in again for Paris. Thank you all, for everyone at Show Studio, for opening the doors in your hearts for us, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.